Well, a week ago, I asked this question that who is going to stop this current French team? But I think I'm still struggling to get the answer. I the question is who is going to stop this current French team? And from how they've started this World Cup in 2026, from their first game against Senegal to their second game against Iraq, against Norway in the group stages. I mean, beating Sweden, beating Paraguay, and now they've eliminated Morocco to book a semi-final stage. So, Coach Didier Deschamps is appearing at 3 consecutive semi-final at the World Cup, which is absolutely unprecedented. I mean, the French team can just be stopped by either Belgium or Spain in the next stage, which is going to be the semi-final. But if it doesn't, Didier Deschamps is going to set an unprecedented history in the World Cup. We've had a country that have played 3 consecutive finals before. Yeah, we are aware the Brazil did it in 1994, 1998, and then of course 2002. But they did it with different coaches. In 1994, it was Carlos Alberto Parreira. In 1998, it was the late Mario Zagallo. And of course, in 2002, was Luis Felipe Scolari. But Didier Deschamps is going to appear in 3 consecutive finals, and he happens to be the coach who is going to make it all. He was in the final, and of course, eventually won the tournament in 2018 Russia by becoming one of the persons, or you can say one of the 3 persons to have won the World Cup as a player and as a coach. We had Mario Zagallo, who did it in 1958 as a player, won it in 1970 as a coach. We had Franz Beckenbauer, the late, who won the World Cup as a player in 1974 and of course won it in 1990 as a coach. Didier Deschamps won the World Cup in 1998 as a player because he was even the captain of the French national team, and he won it in 2018 as a coach. But he's going to make a record which is going to be quite unprecedented in the history of the World Cup. To play 3 consecutive finals of the World Cup with a team as a coach, it has never happened before. So this is absolutely brilliant. Even though we have 2 coaches who have played 2 consecutive finals, and those 2 coaches even met in 1986. We had former Bayern Munich player Franz Beckenbauer, and of course, he was the coach of the German side in 1986. So Franz Beckenbauer was the coach of the German national team, and Carlos Bilardo was also the coach of the Argentine national team. And of course, those 2 coaches met in 1986 finals and met again in 1990 finals. And of course, in 1986, the Argentine team won. And of course, in 1990, the German team won. So we've had these 2 coaches who've played 2 consecutive finals in the history of the World Cup before. But Didier Deschamps is looking to go the extra mile. And this is why he's been churning a top-notch result for the French national team. In a game against Morocco, it was a game that the French team was definitely going to start as favorite. And especially when the Moroccan team were going to lose their top marksman, Ismail Saibari. You can see that it was quite a clear result that they were deeply affected by his absence. And because Riyad Chadi was also not around, Nusair Mazraoui was slotted to add up to Issa Diop to partner him in the center of defense. You know, when the game started, the French team kept on piling up the pressure. They came up with some couple of shots on targets. Goalkeeper Bono needed to come in the fray to save the Moroccan in some couple of situations. And of course, it was even getting to the end of the first half that Morocco even started playing shots on target. So the French team was quite dangerous, and especially with their front four, Michael Olise, Kylian Mbappe, and of course, Ousmane Dembele and Desiré Doué, who started in the place of Bradley Bakola. Desiré Doué threatened with some couple of shots even in the first half, but it wasn't meant to be. So the game needed to end up in a stalemate after 45 minutes plus time added on. And of course, in the second half, Kylian Mbappe came with new ideas, and of course, he scored his goal in this tournament, his 8th goal, and of course, his 20th goal in the history of the World Cup, matching up Lionel Messi in the World Cup history in terms of the all-time top scorers. And of course, Ousmane Dembele came up with the second goal. And that was how the French team killed the ambitions of the Moroccan team to replicate what they did in 2022 in Qatar, which was 4 years time. 4 years back, yeah, 4 years back, what happened in Qatar 2022. And that was how the French team managed to beat the Moroccans by booking a spot into the semi-final of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The French team looks absolutely incredible. I mean, even though they kind of jittery at the back line, if you press them high up, because Dayot Upamecano and of course William Saliba is not comfortable in the ball, but their front four keeps them going in this tournament. And of course, because they have those guys who have high threats, they can dribble, they can pass, they have quick and fit movement. So this is the reason why the French team is quite dangerous. And of course, they've now eliminated Morocco and now booked a spot into the quarterfinals of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which is absolutely unprecedented on the part of the French team if they are able to book a three-final on the part of coach Didier Deschamps is able to book a final by beating either Spain or Belgium, the team that he's going to face. But the French team looks unshaky. They looks to be marching on, and it seems no one is ready to stop them. Is this tournament giving us some similar vibes of what happened in France Nantes? Even though in France Nantes, Brazil were in the finals, France were in the finals, there was Norway in the competition. Some couple of teams who the last time they appeared in that World Cup have made it this time around, the like of Austria, the likes of Norway. And of course, the French team seemed to be marching on. And the coach of the French team happens to be the captain of the French team in that year in 1998. And I think this competition is kind of giving us some similar vibes in terms of what happened in France Nantes. But mind you, at the tournament venue, which is North America, whenever tournament is going on at that place, it's been teams from Southern America who have been winning the competition. And now the only team from Southern America that remains in the competition is Argentina. They're going to be meeting Switzerland in the quarterfinals, and it's likely that the Argentine team will beat Switzerland to book their spot into the semi-final. Winner will be facing either Norway or, of course, the English national team. But I think the French team seems to be marching on. It seems they looks unstoppable. And let's see whether, maybe if Spain wins against Belgium, let's see whether they can match up the French team. Even though I remember they met some 2 years ago in the European Championship in Germany when the Spanish team won by 2-1, and then went on to win the European Championship when they beat England in the final. On their way to winning the final, they beat this French team. And of course, this same crop of players who are the majority of them are around. Or maybe you can talk about maybe someone like Desiree Doué or maybe Michael Olise, who were not around in that setup. So the French team seems to be marching on, and they've now booked a spot into the semi-final of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. They absolutely seem unstoppable. They seem absolutely unstoppable after beating Morocco to secure their spot in the 2026 FIFA World Cup semi-final. This has been the podcast channel with Awal. Thank you very much.